Welcome to another episode of Bringing Down the Grindhouse, a podcast where we discuss horror in media. And tonight, grab your bongs and also grab your grandma and your buds and your bongs as we dive into Grandma's Boy. I'm Mitch.
I'm Mer.
I'm Justine.
And I'm Jonathan.
Yeah.
And it's Mer's birthday!
Yeah.
Well,
we love our Taurus Kings.
Technically
here
it
on the
passed,
podcast.
but we're doing birthday episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to get him in.
Yeah.
It's a tradition on this podcast.
Yeah, it's now a yearly tradition, which is cool.
Yeah.
For everyone who doesn't know, on your birthday, you get to pick whatever the fuck you want to talk about. And everyone has to just deal with it.
I mean, yeah, kind of.
Pretty much. I think next episode's going to be Jonathan's birthday episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Northmen.
Really excited for that one. And then I'll be coming up next month with my birthday.
It's pretty much here.
Who knows what we're going to talk about?
All right, but I got to ask, why Grandma's Boy?
So this is a movie that I watched as a kid, along with like a string of other movies, like Dude, Where's My Car?
This is
Harold and Kumar Go to White
running
Castle.
theme with your choices.
Biodome, as well as Encino Man, like all those like stoner two buddy comedies.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up on as a kid in the early 2000s. Because all the adults were watching them, I'm like, what's going on? And it's pretty funny. As an adult, I wanted to see if it held up, and it does in some respects, and it doesn't. So
It's definitely representative of 2006, 9.
that's what it is.
when
Yeah,
it came out.
2006.
Yeah, so it's just like that is the era of this type of comedy.
I remember I made my friends watch this as like an 8th grade birthday thing, like about more than 10 years ago. So I was just like, let's just do it again for the birthday episode.
Oh, okay, fair.
Yeah. I remember I got yelled at by the parents because it had boobs.
It does have
It
boobs.
has a lot in this
It does have
movie.
boobs.
A lot in this movie.
Well, like not a lot of boobs, but just a lot in general is in this movie.
What's your guys' experience with this? Like movie or like movies of the kind?
I mean, I watched it, I think, before I had ever actually smoked any weed in my life. So it was very different to watching it now, which I get a lot more of the humor now, but before it was just kind of funny. It was raunchy. It's a Billy Madison production, you know?
Yeah, so it's Adam Sandler is like very representative of this type of comedy, and the guy who made it is very like much in association with him.
What's funny to me is like Rob Schneider is kind of like his Bill Murray
Dude,
for Wes Anderson.
so many people, Rob Schneider, Jonah Hill, David Spade, they're all in this movie.
Yeah.
So this is like, these are the comedy group of that era. So this is when they were like really popular. So it makes sense.
You could probably even throw in what's that guy who was in Zoolander? Who was the guy in that?
Ben Stiller?
Ben Stiller.
Talking about
yeah.
Ben Stiller?
Yeah.
Have
Jesus.
you seen Ben Stiller lately?
No.
He's like completely gray.
Oh,
Like all of his hair is gray.
Don't tell me that.
I mean, he doesn't look bad. I was just
Okay.
saying his hair is gray. So
He's gonna play a wizard sometime.
Maybe he'll do a comedy in his older age. It might be funny.
I would hope so.
I fucking hate his movies. Anyway,
I know that everyone hates Biodome, but I love that movie.
Biodome's pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie.
Honestly.
Biodome is hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. The safety dance. I listened to that song.
God.
It made me not want to kill myself.
Oh no! I feel like I shouldn't be laughing, but
I was just like,
Jeez.
man, this slaps.
the slaps. 2006. I think I'm 31. I just turned 31, so I was a freshman in high school in 2006.
I don't want to think about how old I was in 2006.
So like I remember this was when those type of movies started coming out, and like you were trying to sneakily watch these movies, whether it was on the demand service where you put in a little passcode or you just found the DVD somewhere.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, mine was Mean Girls. I got
Oh.
away with it because I think I was in elementary school when I first watched
But
Mean
Mean
Girls.
Girls is like PG-13, isn't it?
I was still like fucking 7 years old when I watched it.
Wow, my timeline was way off. Okay.
Maybe I was older, maybe like 8 or 9, but still, I was like an infant basically.
That's
and
wild.
I found it at the library because you could rent like DVDs from the library, and that was a big thing when I was
You
younger.
still can rent DVDs
yeah,
from
you
the
still
library,
can.
which is
and
wild.
it was cool because like DVD players were like the only way to watch movies, or
Yeah.
like tape players, of course. You couldn't just stream everything. So if you found a good DVD, that shit was gold.
Yeah.
That's true. You know, you can also still, so you can still go rent DVDs, but sometimes if you have a library card for any library, you can connect to a network that'll let you watch movies online, like a streaming service.
Oh wow.
It's like
Yo.
almost unknown. So
Go
it's
get
like,
your library card.
I'll
dog.
have to find the link and put it in the description for everybody. But
pretty
that's a
sweet.
cool thing you can still do, and it's because, well, they want to keep themselves relevant because
Yeah.
people unfortunately are not going to read actual books anymore.
Imagine being able to like rent books through libraries, but like on Kindles or on your iPhone.
Oh, like you have the document for like a
Yeah.
certain amount of time.
I don't
I'm
know.
sure
Right.
they could facilitate something like that.
I don't know if you guys have seen this at libraries, but I'd say in the like early 2010s, they had these devices that would have one book on it,
Yeah.
and then you just plug in headphones and you could skip to the chapter that you're at and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
I remember that.
But it's just one book.
It was so outdated, like really quickly though.
Oh, yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
but it was a cool idea. It reminded me of the like little MP3s that you could have, and you had like a little slot you could put it in, and you put in like one song,
Right.
and that's what you'd carry
Man.
around, like a keychain full of the songs.
Rest
Oh,
in peace
shit.
to the MP3s.
Yeah.
I feel like ever since the iPod went out of commission, that's like the end of an era.
Dude, they just stopped selling it
Yeah.
like a few weeks ago, which is crazy. I didn't even know they were still selling it.
I know, same.
Can you imagine the guy who made Zune?
Can you imagine being the kid in like 2020 who got an iPod for their birthday and they're like, "What the fuck is this, mom?"
Nah, I was stoked when I first.
No,
got
I'm
that shit.
I'm saying 2020.
nowadays.
though.
Oh, nowadays. Oh, I missed the year.
You mean this doesn't have phone capabilities? Like,
Right? It's like I
Yeah.
literally have an iPod on my phone. What do I need an iPod for?
I also feel like for 2006, the internet was still kind of wonky.
Yeah.
Like, even though we had like popularized the idea of going online, it wasn't like this was the dominant thing. It was kind of like, look at this cool thing you can do.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that was the only thing.
takes forever to like load shit up.
Yeah, so it's like, this
Plus
is
communities
this is
were, like-
very close to like dial-up internet.
Communities were barely like starting to congregate
Yeah.
in the early 2000s. So people were like, "Oh, we're really into porn. Oh, here's your little porn."
I mean, porn has been around.
Yeah, but
But you weren't able to stream it
No,
from your home
fair,
computer
yeah.
until
Yeah, you had to wait like 10 minutes for one picture to load, and you're like, all right.
this is it.
I remember like going to someone's house for a sleepover. We went to some website. I think it was called Shitbricks. Does anyone remember Shitbricks?
What is this? Tell me,
It's
please.
basically like you just click next and it'll show you like a random photo and there's supposed to be something weird in the photo.
This sounds like, what is it, Reddit 50/50, where you would get like violence or titties.
I mean, pretty
That was
much.
it.
It was either there was like a shadow figure or fucking Slenderman or someone like literally shit somewhere and you have to find.
True randomizer.
It's just random shit, but you'll see it. Anyways,
Stuff that'll
We would-
make you shit bricks.
dead ass.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we'd be up all night because it would take like a few minutes for each photo to load and we'd watch like or look at hundreds of photos.
Yeah, man. There was something special about slow internet and MTV when it actually showed videos.
Yeah,
Oh man, that was the best.
You could just leave MTV on all day,
Yeah.
and it would just play music for you all
you
day.
want to throw a party,
No
just throw on
commercials.
MTV.
Yeah, that was dope.
so
They
the-
still do it on like an extra channel, but that's not the main thing they do anymore. The main reason we're talking about all of this is because this is shit that was happening in
the
this
2000s.
era, so it informs a lot of the context of what they end up doing in the film. But before we go into it, did you want to tell us about any production stuff for it?
Oh yeah,
I'm sure
yeah.
it's got weird shit.
So it was released in 2006. It was directed by Nicholas Guzin, written by Barry Wernick, Alan Covert, and Nick Swanson.
The director, kind of a sad, like, he's only really known by his association to Adam Sandler.
Yeah, he's really just known for the Happy Madison.
And
stuff
that's
that
it.
he's
Like,
done.
nobody else really looks at his work. And I'm like, oh, that
I
sucks.
looked into this recently. Supposedly he's making Grandma's Boy too.
Oh, weird.
But also in the interview, they're just like, "What have you been up to?" And he's just been really just staying relevant with current sports. like he's like he was in the interview. He's just talking about how like one of his teams won, and he started crying in tears with his children.
Oh.
It's just like
That's
Oh,
always...
so he's one of those.
he's
sports
one of those
fans.
guys.
It's wild to me that people are that invested.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't done much stuff outside of the Happy Gilmore stuff
Yeah.
or the Happy production.
Yeah, he made his,
Madison
I think he
Productions.
made his own production company because nobody wanted to give him money to make shit. So he was like, I'll just figure out a way to do it. And he was pretty successful, but they're mostly based on the like crass and crude humor.
Yeah, very American Pie.
Like gross out
inspired.
comedy.
I mean, that was pretty much all the early 2000s was as
Mm-hmm.
far as comedy goes. I mean, thinking about, me and Mer's age group watching Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
That was literally the
Straight
slime
up.
and fucking Dan Schneider and his weird foot fetish.
My God, bro, I'm never gonna get over the fact that he made the logo a foot.
And no one thought anything of it. I didn't think anything of it, but I was also like, I was innocent back then.
That man was on the set of iCarly going, yeah, that's right, film
It's
her
like
feet.
zooming on their feet.
Oh no!
Holy shit.
But I
that's
mean,
just
that gross,
insane.
crass, offensive humor was all that you really saw during that time. And I loved it
Yeah,
until I learned better.
yeah. This is like one of those eras where it's a special time and place in history where we were just making schlock and people were loving it. The amount of Will Ferrell movies in this time area.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them,
Uh-huh.
yeah. He's been doing movies for so long.
Yeah.
But I like a lot of Will Ferrell's humor. It's a lot of like weird. He basically makes himself an idiot in
Yeah.
everything he's in, but like successful no matter what. Like what is it? Ricky Bobby is probably one of the most notable ones for that.
I see Will Ferrell play an idiot so much that like I wonder what it's like to have a conversation with him as a person,
He's
not as an
probably
actor.
just like a regular smart person.
Yeah. But that's wild. Imagine.
Yeah.
It was like
Our
what
favorite
were we
actors.
talking about? We talked about Gilbert Gottfried's like real voice.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
wild.
And like we didn't know for a long time that's like he was just making a voice for all of his acting. Yeah.
We all thought he just sounded like that.
he just sounds like that.
Um,
Yeah, Will Ferrell I feel like is a pretty normal dude. I know a lot of people who met him when they were working for Legoland because he would just show up with his kids.
I'm gonna get back to production notes real quick. We have Alan Covert as Alex, the video game tester and our protagonist of the film.
Yeah.
Linda Cardellini is Samantha. She's the chick who gets sent over to oversee the video game that they're producing.
I feel like she's been in a lot of movies, but always as a side character.
She was in Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, that's true. She was in Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. Thanks. What's that guy's name? Jeff Gunn?
Yeah, or James
No,
Gunn.
James Gunn.
James Gunn. We
Yeah.
talked about this.
Yeah. He was the whole reason Velma's around, and people are sexually attracted to Velma.
He has to be
Velma.
like the one and sole reason people are like, Velma's kind of hot.
Big titty nerd girls? Hell yeah.
Yeah, he was just like, yeah, Daphne's kind of overrated, you know? And then was just like, bam, thick.
Oh, we out
no.
of the bimbo area
Yeah.
era and into the thick thigh.
No longer bimbo supremacy.
Dang. I mean, that was like a pretty big marker of certain comedies of this era was having that bimbo character and everybody wanted to be with that character. Like American Pie basically makes all of their films about this.
Yeah.
Doris Roberts is Grandma
Yeah.
Lily. She's great in this. And then like her two roommates are Shirley Jones and Shirley Knight.
Wow. Yeah. So if nobody is familiar, basically like acting giants as far as TV goes, like they were in an insane amount of television during the like early 80s, 70s era. So if you knew who they were, you're like, this is dope to have them in a movie at such an old age.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because Grandma plays really wholesome in this.
Yeah.
Like Alex could do no wrong, which is the best part.
Yep.
Also good at the video game.
Yeah, that's just dope.
Yeah, and saves the day in the end.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other people, but I gotta say, Peter Dante is Dante.
Well, you got to mention the people who just show up. So it's like you got like Jonah Hill,
Yeah.
David Spade, Rob Schneider.
yeah.
Like
You got Jonah Hill in there, Kevin Yu, David Spade, and Rob Schneider. Is like
you'll recognize a huge amount of them.
it's kind of funny when you see them. And then our boy Harry the Chimp as Monkey.
Jesus.
Wonky.
Hell yeah.
Just more proof that if you grow up with a certain group of people, you're all going to be in movies and productions together over like however many decades. And it just happens that way all the time in film where like, you know, this group of people, they're going to keep seeing them together and shit.
Yeah, that's true. Also, what's really funny is that everything in this era had a monkey too.
Yeah, that was a weird thing that just kept showing up. Maybe we should look into that more.
What is the symbolism behind the monkey?
Yeah.
Right. We've made jokes about this before.
But this is like a classic stoner film. It's like not really known by
reminds
a lot of
me-
people.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like this isn't super
It's kind of
popular.
niche.
I think it's niche because it's for sure a stoner comedy, but also it like gets into the idea of how quote unquote geeks and nerds felt about themselves and
Yeah.
how the society sees them. Although this is an extreme version
Portrayal,
of it.
yeah.
I feel like it's kind of accurate because I think nerds, I'm a nerd, think they're dope as fuck.
Oh yeah, you see that with the character JP.
I think it's
You mean
accurate.
The character JP.
Oh my
Ah,
god.
yes, I am JP. Please sit on my face.
Sit on my face.
Oh my god.
I like how the dude's just blaring techno in his office,
Yes,
Yo,
looking
he's
like
amazing.
straight out of
He's
the
playing
Matrix.
Aphex Twin and just like in the most cyberpunk looking office for 2006.
Yeah. With the binary code on the glass sliding doors.
Yo.
Damn.
King.
JP is the king.
I think it gives a really wide perspective on the different nerds that exist, especially in like the gaming world, because you've got our protagonist who's just a chill stoner guy that likes to play video games, and he's making his own video games. You know, that's like your average Joe in that industry or creative in that industry. But then you've got like your nerds that are probably nervous about talking to girls or whatever their problem is. And then you have like the JP's version of nerd, which is like narcissistic as hell.
Yeah.
Believes he's hot shit. His mom's still picking him up from work, however.
that one is the funnier
Yeah.
one to me.
Yeah.
But in general, I feel like when you're looking from the outside of the nerd community, you just see like a bunch of geeks, a bunch of like weirdos, you know? But within the community, there's a lot of like ground that each of their titles hold, you know?
Yeah.
As being like game developer, as being game tester, but they're all like, I don't know, they're important within their community.
Yeah,
you know?
I was gonna say that too. They've created characters that are not like, they're not loser geeks. They
Yeah.
actually have careers and jobs, and the point of the narrative is around that.
Yeah, and as narcissistic and an asshole as JP is, he's also like a millionaire because he makes
Right.
so much money off his video game. Like, don't fuck with nerds, guys.
Yeah.
They're really cool. You don't know.
It's pretty funny to see like the contrast between the two like characters like that.
Oh yeah, they wanted you to have. I think they also wanted to show like, this is the good guy, this is the bad guy. You got to root for this person, and that's like making it easy for the viewer to be like, yeah, I'm getting behind this guy who has to be vindicated by the end. To be like, no, that's actually like his game.
He's what we call nowadays, aka JP, is cringe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Cringe incel.
Yeah, every time he was on screen doing anything, I was like, "This is cringe as fuck." All he
I
needs is
know.
a fedora.
I felt my hands
Yo.
getting clammy.
When did cringe become a thing? Like, when did that?
2010.
JP.
Was it
Oh,
2010?
JP.
Yeah, with this guy.
This guy.
This is the godfather of cringe.
Like
Love it.
2010s, I'd say.
Yeah, it like sort of just appeared. So
Yeah.
I want to also mention too that this is like one of a few, and then it became very popular to bring this idea of like, oh, why are certain like groups of people sort of being like not talked about? And this included, you know, people who really liked, say, Dungeons and Dragons, which had fallen out of popularity for a long time,
Yeah.
and then came back and became very popular.
Yeah, it's even more popular today. I
Now,
feel.
well, the reason why I think it's becoming more popular today is because so many games borrow from that system.
Yeah.
So like how you end up creating characters is the basis of a lot of video games, and like people are starting to make a lot of like open world games that are borrowing from this. So they're like then want to know the origins of
Yeah.
it. So it's
It's
like,
always,
oh yeah,
it's always cool to say, "Hey, did you like that stat system? You should try the original."
right.
Or like a play on the original.
Well, there's some people now. So we now are at an era where there's kids who are born and 18, 19 who don't know what Dungeons and Dragons is. And so they'll then play a game and be like, oh, this is actually based off of, you know, the written format of role-playing game. And then they'll go and explore that. And it's becoming really popular now
Huge.
to go and play games like this, because it's like when people revert back to an older style of something. Biggest example is like vinyl, where like vinyl keeps going in and out of popularity, and now it just is increasingly popular.
cassette tapes are more popular too
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So
Good luck finding a cassette player though.
Fuck yeah, that's true.
They used to sell them at Target.
They used to sell
They're
them
like
at,
$80
all the big
bucks.
places. Yeah, they're expensive.
Yo, you remember Radio Shack?
Fuck, I loved Radio Shack.
I know. Rest in peace.
They still got
was
a few around.
in high school. My iPod broke, so I had to carry a Discman with the little case.
Yeah, every time you take a
I
step, it
had one
fucking
of those
skips.
too. Yeah, scratch the shit out of your CD.
Yeah. So this movie basically just follows our stoner friend trying to basically be a tester for the game.
Right.
They're trying to release Eternal Death Slayer 3, which is a funny
Well,
ass
there's
name.
also a game being worked on in secret too.
Yeah.
Which is also part of the
And
narrative.
then just him just going throughout his life trying to figure out, because he got kicked out of his house.
right.
Well, yeah.
Like not on his own volition.
We
he's
gotta
a
talk
productive
about it.
stoner. He actually got rent.
Yeah, he got hella rent.
But
But his roomie,
fall into Filipino sex workers.
Dang. I mean, yeah, that's what he spent all his money on, like every
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
bit.
reminds me of someone we knew that was stealing everyone's rent money and spending it on drugs and partying.
Wild, dude.
Somehow managed to steal $15,000 from his roommates before they even noticed.
Yeah, that was the craziest story to me, honestly.
But I digress.
What I love is that he was like, Rob Schneider is his landlord.
Right.
And he's just hamming it up as like some greasy like landlord. Like, Alex,
Oh my
I'll tell you what.
God.
I'll give you a choice.
I think Rob Schneider is hilarious. Like, he's one of the funniest comedians to have in a movie. I've
Been a
always
while
liked
since
everything.
he's been in
it.
something pretty
Yeah.
good though.
Well, because nobody wants to cast him in anything. He's kind of like, he's a little outdated, I think, for most people's minds, but he'd be funny in a movie.
I would say Seth Rogen is too,
Seth Rogen's hilarious.
but he's still fucking hilarious.
He literally is he's himself in everything. Like, he really doesn't play characters. He's just himself.
There's a few actors like that we've talked about. We talked about how like Will Smith is just Will Smith.
What? Yeah, that's fair.
Samuel Jackson is always Samuel
Yeah.
Jackson.
Oh, I would argue against that one because he's been both a good guy and a villain. So
What,
he
he's
does.
not both in real life? I'm sure the man's got two sides.
That's
right?
fair.
Remember what I told you about that one movie
Which one?
where Samuel L.
Oh,
Jackson
yes. He questioned the
He
director.
said no to the director, and the director almost shit his pants. And then the director's like, "No, I kind of need you to do that." He's like, "Good, I was testing your ass."
Oh my God. Yeah, I remember we talked about that.
This movie is pretty funny with its weed comedy, honestly.
I feel like it did really well with making stoner comedy and geek comedy where they like are mad at each other because like they don't know enough information, or they're like, you should know this, like if you're this kind of nerd. But then the other side of it was I didn't like their sort of crude humor, which was the fact that they just had like a lot of stereotyping
Yeah.
throughout the film, which doesn't hold up very well
It's
so
mostly-
many years later.
It's mostly through Dante.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like Dante is probably the best character in the movie. Let's be honest.
Yeah, so this is what makes it difficult for me to analyze as far as like, is it something that should be included and talked about?
Kiki, don't do it. We're looking at the cat.
She's doing the very cat thing where she sees an item and is trying to knock it off the edge.
Kiki, come here.
I didn't know how to feel about the comedy because it's obviously racist,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but the character himself is not like dumb or like doesn't know what they're doing. In fact, they're like meant to be a very cool character, but it's done in such a weird way because they are still living within that stereotype.
I don't know. I know it was a different era, and we've learned better as far as our comedy
Right.
goes.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of a weak cop out to bring in stereotypes into your comedy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole like genre of comedy.
Yeah, if you really want to get progressive or do something that's interesting, make comedies about colonizer stereotypes if you're going to, because we make so many minority stereotypes.
TikTok is very good at this.
Oh my god,
So
yeah. There's so many amazing comedians on TikTok,
Yeah.
and like no one knows who they are because they just make their shit on social media.
I gotta link the woman who does TikToks about if white people were the others, as in
shit.
like
if they were the minority,
if they were the
and
minority.
we're spoken to the same way minorities
Yeah,
are.
and she does TikToks like this, and it's like insanely sharp satire of how people speak to anyone
Yeah.
about it, stuff like that. So I was like, this is really good.
But also, not to mention the racial humor that's in this movie. There's also some sexuality humor as well.
There is, yeah.
As far as
Yeah.
the gay waiter in
Yeah.
the restaurant.
This is still the like where homophobia was like the joke to have
and
in a
then
lot
there's
of things.
also the comment that one of the grandmas made in the beginning where they were like, oh, do you have like a girlfriend? He was like, no, I'm not really seeing anyone. Like, oh, so you're gay. I'll give you my son's number. He's gay too. That kind of thing.
Yeah, surprisingly,
Like, I
grandma's
appreciate-
progressive.
Yeah, I appreciate that she's supportive and all, but there was the running theme of
Yeah.
homosexuality as a joke.
Right. If you're not interested in women, you have to be gay.
And that's hilarious.
Yeah, you're
You
35, no girlfriend?
Yeah.
You're
What
gay.
the fuck's wrong? Yeah, I guess that should be another thing too, where there at this time, I think it was very important for them to note that anyone who was above a certain age and not doing certain things, that was like, you're not successful.
Yeah.
And like they created that sort of fear, which was a general population thing where if you're above a certain age and you weren't doing
it's like if you're not married, if you don't have kids, if you don't live on your own, because the main character is like 36 and living with his grandma, you know?
It's wild to hit 30 and be like, wow, I'm not old at all. And then to see a bunch of popular media that's like, especially for women, where they're like, wow, you're 30, you're like useless to society. This is not a thing. And then they end up labeling them as like, oh, you're now a cougar or a MILF or something.
Well, low key, 30 is the new 20 nowadays.
Definitely.
And
it's
I think we were
changed.
talking about this too, that 60 is like the new 40.
I don't think 60 is old at all now
Yeah.
for a lot of actors, because I see a lot of them doing like numerous amounts of work through their 50s and 60s. Like we found out Bjork is 56.
Oh yeah.
So
I just
it's
saw
like,
her
you know,
this year too.
she's still doing, she's going to be making music like forever.
I have a feeling she's not retiring till she's like in her 80s.
Yeah, until she physically cannot do anything.
Mm-hmm. But I
Oh,
digress.
Right, yeah. So
Sorry, tangent.
all shifting things that inform the narrative and how they were feeling about this era.
I like that in this movie you kind of see younger version of Jonah Hill and like just how he like basically progresses as a quote unquote character in this, from being like, dude, you're banging 3 roommates, legendary, bro.
I love the lie
Yeah.
of him just like, they think that he's exhausted all the time because he's just having sex with all these women.
And then they show up in the office like,
Yeah.
you're banging grannies?
Yeah.
Wait, he said something too.
Yeah.
He was like, you may have like jerked off on my mom.
Yo, okay, this movie starts with
That was
some dude
hilarious.
fucking you came on my mom, dude. Like,
What was it? You came on
She
my
says you can
mom,
still
but
stay,
you're banging
though.
your grandma?
coming on my mom is
Yo,
one thing.
the mom was chill as fuck about it though.
No, yeah.
She was like,
She was probably into it.
He said he was sorry the whole. I'm sorry, I can't stop coming.
Okay, but who's jerking off to a Laura Croft Barbie? Laura Croft, sorry.
I fully believe that.
I fully believe
that.
Yeah,
Laura Croft is like a very large symbol for a lot of
No,
nerdy
that's
kids
true,
who played
actually.
it.
young men that played video games. Laura Croft was one of the.
You know what?
Are you speaking from experience?
Absolutely.
Oh,
What the
totally,
hell?
yeah.
Oh my god! And then you had the movies that came
With
out
Angelina
and
Jolie.
Yeah, with Angelina Jolie.
Angelina
Yeah,
Jolie.
and yeah,
Like
uh-huh.
one
I
of the
get it.
best castings for a video game to real life action character. For
and,
sure.
and they didn't even. And then there's the new Tomb Raider games where Laura Croft is still really hot. It doesn't It doesn't matter, man. You can't get away from it.
I gotta say, this is like one of the beginnings of where people were really into badass female characters. You had the beginnings of this in like Alien with Sigourney Weaver, and so since then, like in the 90s when games were getting created, Laura Croft and Tomb Raider was like the thing. We were like, yeah, this is fucking dope. Like
Blood
badass.
Rain.
Yeah. Oh my god. Fucking vampire game. Just go look it up.
Yeah, she kills Nazis, dude.
Who doesn't like to kill Nazis?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. It's a vampire lady in a skimpy outfit slaying Nazis.
Yeah.
Love it.
Exciting.
This is the content
She's got the
I wanna
A-line
see.
haircut too.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely they loved making a lot of references to popular media, which probably included playing
Yeah.
certain games. This is also a thing where they were making games. So like being a game developer was kind of like, this is the epitome of best job ever for a geek.
Yeah.
You get to make video games as a living. Like, this is what you need to do.
You get paid how much to do this?
Yeah.
I mean, what's cool is seeing The Office and how it works in its dynamics. Like, there's so many like Game Informer and like Grand Theft Auto and Metal Gear Solid, everything. And when you watch this movie, you could be like, yo, I had that toy in 2007.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. It hits a lot on nostalgia for people who are watching it.
I like that. And then I like the boss character who is just like, gotta find the right chi, man.
Yeah. He's upset that like the energy's off.
There's also another thing I liked is around that time we're sort of seeing a rise in like the new age spiritualist movement. I mean, it was kind of already progressing,
true.
but it became much more popular during that time. And I think that humor is absolutely fucking hilarious. Having this like,
Well, they definitely capitalized on the idea of selling like tarot cards, the idea of selling books that were supposed to inform
And then,
you
like,
on this.
veganism was something that was like really uncommon at the time.
It was
like,
aggressive.
Whoa, you're vegan. Yeah.
I remember that too. This is like when people are like, why the fuck would you do that? And like got milk ads were a thing. And they
Yeah.
like got celebrities to do it because we had all this extra milk that we didn't know what to do with, and like weird cheese things that were
Yeah.
happening. There's like a storage of cheese in the United States that we don't know what to do with.
I'd say
God.
back in
I remember that. Yeah.
back in 2005, you probably knew one person who was vegan. Nowadays, it's more commonplace.
Right.
Yeah.
More typical.
Ever since the
And there
commercialization
were,
of it.
There were like militant vegans then. I mean,
Yeah.
they're still around now, but there were people who were like, if you fucking eat a cow, I hope you get guillotined or some, just something like ridiculous.
They make
like,
fun
just-
of this with the David Spade's character.
I gotta
Yeah.
say, I'm kind of disappointed that there's no more like throwing blood on celebrities, because that was
shit.
pretty funny.
Yeah. We need to bring that back.
Like when they were like, fuck this fur industry, and we're like throwing paint and blood and shit on people. I was like, yeah, this is dope. And then they kind of just stopped doing that.
I think a lot of the humor that I find to be like what hits it for me is just Alex getting super high and just dealing with his life.
Right.
And then Dante just like, yeah, bro, I'll fucking do that shit with you. No problem, man. Just like,
I like
I'll go to the loony bin. We'll go to the loony bin together. I don't give a fuck, bro.
I know, Dante's always down.
my favorite part, he's like, yo, I'm getting the fucking lion tomorrow, bro.
What I think what really makes these funny is all of the performances. Like they needed this group of people to do this movie, because if it was anybody else, I think it would have been flat.
Yeah.
So like the performance from all of them, they were probably having a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, they're
making the
hamming it
movie.
up.
Like they were probably high on set.
I know that they were using fake weed for a good amount of it, and then Peter Dante was like, no, we're getting real shit.
Yeah, fair.
Got real shit.
I mean,
and-
that's what fucking Seth Rogen does.
well, he got so stoned on the set that he couldn't move his legs.
That's hilarious.
He had to go to the hospital.
Oh,
Dante had to go to the
like
hospital.
Jesus.
Yeah.
was there anything wrong with him, or were you just freaking out?
No, he was just like, yo, bro, I can't move my legs. It's just like
Can you
that.
imagine you're all on set, everybody is lit, and they're like, "Oh fuck, what do we do?" And they had to like figure out getting an ambulance
It's
for
like,
him.
you know what, guys? Let's just stop filming for today and get some pizza or something.
Yeah.
Let's have a cast party.
I have no idea how you kept a set on schedule
Oh, when
while
you're
being
stoned?
high and
Yeah.
stoned. Like
Jesus.
the person running it, the assistant director, must have been the only sober one on set to be like, "Please, I need you guys to finish the scene."
He's just scowling in the corner.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about this too. The movie was like the budget was $5 million.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was spent for like Xbox and certain companies to like get the rights for them, like Vitamin Water and
Right.
shit like that. And then like paying for the production and the actors. It made 6.6 million back, so barely enough to cover it. But this made $50 million in DVD sales alone.
Yeah, it became a really, really good classic. Like I don't want to say a cult classic, but it is something that got popularized because at that time DVDs were like you go to Blockbuster
Yeah.
and like go and rent shit. This was like the thing to do.
Get the divd.
You mean the Deeved?
The divd from the Fat
It's
Albert
like,
movie.
nah, dog, you gotta get the laser disc.
That shit was funny to me when I watched Fat Albert for the first time, and they're like, "What's a divd?" I don't know, man. But
You
like,
talking about the new one, the remake?
like the remake back in like the early 2000s.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was really
was
weird.
really
I kind of
weird.
like that they brought them all to like real life in that
I
movie.
don't know how I felt about it.
It probably doesn't hold up.
no, I
No,
don't think so.
but that's the thing. You have to like take that into consideration with this era of comedy.
yeah.
Like I love every scene that Peter Dante's in because he's like, "Yo, I went outside. I look in the fucking tree. There he is, the goddamn fucking king of the jungle."
Got this wild hairstyle going on too
Yo.
with the quad pigtails.
So every scene he's in, he
Yes.
adds a ponytail.
That's amazing.
By the end of the movie, he has like 5 or 6. I love the scene where they do the party too. What a great party scene to execute.
Yeah, so I think they wanted to do like a positive view of like when you get to go to a fun party.
No, yeah, and it was really wholesome with all the grannies at first drinking their weed
Yeah.
tea
Oh,
and just
man.
cackling.
That
Love
was so
it.
great.
Because I remember, I think that was what turned me on to weed when I was really young, is how much I would fucking laugh. Like, nonstop, ear-to-ear grin, just
Yeah,
tears.
especially having a good time with people. hanging
yeah,
out with a good
over
group.
the smallest things.
Yeah.
Love it.
I love how they're just like, dude, my grandma smoked all or drank all my
Yeah.
pot.
Also, this is a very happy ending
Yeah.
for the movie, like which most comedies are. They'll
Yeah.
usually have a very nice ending, and you know, gets his game back. He essentially like quote unquote wins the girl, and gets, they continue.
Actually,
they start dating.
They have chemistry for how awkward Alex is.
Well, they made it so that they were like really good friends.
Yeah.
To start with, and then that moved into them being in a relationship. It wasn't like a random chance thing.
I feel like
he just kisses the girl at the end of the movie out
Right.
of nowhere. I hate that.
I feel like Alex having a positive relationship with his grandma really like is I don't know, it's seen by Sam.
Well, this is what grounds the movie. So what we've talked about before, we've talked about comedies before, and a lot of the comedies that don't do well are ones that don't have a lot of narrative heart to it, as in like things that are endearing to you. And so the ones that are very successful usually are ones like this that are grounded in the fact that he has a nice relationship with his grandma and that he's trying to sort out his own like coming of age at an older age because he's like past this because he was that geek character. It suggests that he kind of matures very late in his life, and so then he has to go through this maturing through the film, and that's like what grounds a lot of the story and why you enjoy it so much.
Yeah, I really dig that. I love how Shirley Jones' character like cooks for him all the time, and then he has to do chores for the girls, which is funny.
He can never get anything done either because they're always distracting the shit out of him.
Yeah, I love that he also buys them tickets for the Antique Roadshow, which was a thing that happened.
Antique Roadshow was super popular.
It's still on today,
Yeah.
which is wild. I remember when I was living with my grandpa for a while, every night he would watch something on KPBS and then switch over to the Antique Roadshow.
Okay, not gonna lie though, the dudes who work on the Antique Roadshow, like the guys who appraise things, they are like stoked every time you see them.
Yeah.
They're not boring when you watch it. Like I remember watching one because it went viral. A guy who saw a table and he was like, "I gotta tell you, when I first saw this, I had chills." And like he's like, "You don't understand." He's like, "This is the nicest table I've ever seen." And like he explains that the piece of furniture belonged to like Thomas Jefferson at some point, and that the lady just had it in her house.
Holy shit!
And like she was like, he's like, "How much is it worth?" He's like, "This is worth like $300,000." And she was like, "Oh my god!" And sold it for $500K.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was insane.
That's like when they brought. That's the thing. They didn't show the Card Geek in this movie.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the thing. But
were they even? They were popular at this time.
Yeah, they were. But they were like playing Halo and like Atari games. Dance Dance Revolution's in this. That fucking scene's amazing, yo. So like DDR was a huge thing too.
Yeah,
and I love this scene in this.
You could even get the pads that you used at home.
Yeah,
which are like the thing to do. Those. Dope.
What I found like impressive with the scene is that most of those games had the bars on the back.
Yeah,
so you could keep playing while you're holding on. I would go to the arcade and watch people spend 8 hours on that thing.
Getting the high score.
Yeah, someone else comes in and like brings them food and water, and they just keep going and going and going.
Great.
But yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes in that movie.
Well, so are we doing favorite scenes then?
We probably should do favorite scenes then. Someone start.
Dang, that's hard.
Well, okay, you just shared your favorite scene.
Yeah, mine was the Dance Dance Revolution one. He smokes that guy. Because the guy's like, "Oh, hey, DDR, let's go." Plays like a whack-ass song, wearing a whack-ass fucking jacket. Get the fuck out of here. He's like, "Oh, new high score. What does that mean? Is that fucking good? Get nutted on, kid."
Oh my god.
Nutted on.
For some reason, I feel like this film was missing people like Bill Hader, who would have been great to just show up as a random character.
Probably before his time.
Yeah, it could be just a little bit before when he was actually in shit. But,
so, did you have a favorite scene?
Honestly, the fucking mom getting just cummed on is hilarious. Like, it doesn't matter what era you look at this in, it is so funny, and it's ridiculously crude for something like that to happen. But, like, how do you not laugh at something like that? This also feeds into, like, the like MILF idea of like the mom was probably into it and was like, "It's fine, like no big deal," and it feeds into that fantasy that all these nerds have of like having sex with older women.
Dude, how many people did you tell about the incident with your mom? Like 13.
Yeah, it's great. It has a lot of really funny moments, but that one was especially funny to me.
I think my favorite scene was when you see JP in his office, only because that entire aesthetic is still relevant today. In fact, it's making a big comeback. I think what was really interesting too was the setup he had with like the tilted back seat and the 3 screens, because we have things like that now that are common.
Totally.
Those like gamer setups that are like a wheel that you fucking sit in.
Dude, that
Oh my
thing,
God, I want
that
it
thing
so
was
bad.
probably super expensive for its time.
No, definitely.
Oh, his setup,
Yeah.
like everything he has.
yeah,
Yeah,
but everything about that, the aesthetic, this like cyberpunk, cybergoth.
Did you
thing
like
going
the
on.
White Room
Yeah, that was cool too.
with the Segway and everything?
And the fucking weird ass statue.
yeah.
JP's a perv in this movie, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
Like hella just awkward and just nerdy.
But I'm giving points to him for being the OGE boy.
Yeah.
Right. So fuck yeah, that's fair.
Mitch, did you have a favorite scene? Oh, is it the cracker scene with
The cracker?
with the cereal?
With the cereal. That's part of the party scene.
Yeah.
Like, because the party chapter is probably my favorite part of the movie because, you know, you got people are doing karaoke. There's some fun dishing on this one nerdy guy for, you know, and he doesn't get cereal. The grannies are all high and everything, and it's great. And she makes ice cream sandwiches
Yeah.
with lettuce.
She's like, I put ice cream on whole wheat and I put romaine inside it.
Upset.
And then you also have Jonah Hill, like, bearing out in some titties as well
Oh
for
god,
like
that
13
scene is
hours.
so funny because it's obviously he's a virgin and he's sitting there with this gorgeous woman on his lap and just like tapping the butt.
Like all awkwardly, like dunk, dunk, dunk.
Oh my
There's a
god.
lot of memorable lines from this movie. That's what I get after all this. Barry sucked on his first boobie for 9 hours.
For 13 hours.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
13
Oh my
years
God.
straight.
This reminds me of like a teenage boys who tell each other stories like this, like, and they're all lies. Like, there's hardly anything that's the truth, and
Oh,
it's
no,
just
I
wild
made up some
stuff.
stories like that too when I was
Nice.
younger. I think I made up this story about my first kiss, and I
Oh,
was like,
man.
we were at SeaWorld and we kissed under
Oh,
the fireworks.
so it's super romantic. Like, you're like,
Yeah.
yes, this is it.
Oh yeah,
Love
I
it.
remember that specifically because I was like, did I really just say that shit?
Oh man.
SeaWorld under the fireworks, so romantic.
Why don't you take the
Shamu splashed at that moment too.
why don't you take the Frankenstein shit, the deer shit, the bling and the bling bling and roll it into one joint. No one's ever done that shit, man. Fuck it. I'll go with the loony bin with you. I gotta
Oh my
record this shit
God.
for scientific evidence, bro. Dante is the best. I love that guy.
He gets the monkey. And he's like,
He gets
oh,
the
yeah,
monkey.
Mr. John Hoover's been
my
teaching me
Taekwondo.
Yeah.
So then, what would you guys rate it?
I got nostalgia goggles on. I can't rate
Yeah.
this movie.
You
I give
can't.
it a-
You can't.
Yeah, it's unrated.
It's a no rating.
It's an unrated
Oh,
movie.
dang.
So I'm
That's
gonna.
a first. We've never
Dang.
passed on a rating for a movie. Is it purely just because you don't want to rate something that's nostalgic to you?
Well, the thing is, like this, I feel like it's in its own pocket.
Oh.
I can't say it's like a 10 out of 10 because of nostalgia. It's not a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's realistically on a critic level, it's probably like a 6 or 7. But in my heart, that shit's a 10.
Gotcha.
It's like the time that I gave as a movie, this movie's a 7, but as a B movie, it's an 8.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true.
It
We've done
succeeds
this.
at
Then I
doing
can
what
say
it's
that.
supposed to do.
Starting to break the rating system.
So I will rate this movie either a 4.20 or a 69.
6.9.
6.9. Oh, that's great.
Okay, fine. How about this? How many pot stars do you give out of 5?
Out of 5. Oh.
Pot leaves do you give out
I
of
mean,
5?
it's a full stoner movie. It's got to get 5.
No, I give it 3 leaves.
No.
There's better stoner movies.
There.
half.
Friday will
That's true.
always reign
That's
supreme.
true.
Fuck
Very
everyone
true.
Hey,
else.
half
Damn, I
baked.
should have talked about Friday.
Half
Anyway.
baked. Half baked always holds up.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
That movie doesn't get bad.
You know what? Then by comparison, there are better stoner movies. Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 4 leaves out of 5 then.
Yeah.
I'll
yeah.
go with the four pot leaves out of 5
Go,
also.
Yeah, we go with 4, 3.5, something like that.
Yeah. Thanks for talking about this movie on my birthday. I really just wanted
Yeah.
to see if it held up. It's been sitting on my DVD shelf for years.
It's crazy it's that old now.
2006. It's almost 20 years old.
Yeah.
Like in 4 years, it'll be 20 years old. That's
Wow.
fucked.
Oh, jeez.
We're closer to 2050 than we are to 1990. Oh, just
Oh, wait.
Yo.
Some high thoughts for you.
Hell yeah. Well, Mitch, you gonna stoner rip us out of here?
Do you have any closing statements?
Drive, monkey, drive.
So like, get your hats and your coats.
Your cats and
Your cats and your goats.
And your goats. Get your cats and your goats. I'm Mitch.
I am Murr, but we need to talk about the stuff that we're up to.
Oh shit! Sorry, dude.
I love how off the rails that was.
All right, yeah. So hey, Murray, I need a new hat.
Go on our Teespring. Check it out. We got merch up there.
We do.
We have hats and shirts and cups and glasses.
Hey, Murr, if I want to like support the podcast, other than like buying merch, how else can I support it?
You can go on our Patreon for $2 a month you could support us as well as give us recommendations for horror media to cover.
Oh, that sounds very exciting. Can we how can I like see what's coming up? Like, how can I check on current events with this podcast?
Yes. You want to check out our social medias. We have the Instagrams, the Twitters, and the Facebooks, as well as our Discord, where you get the first exclusive look at when we drop an episode, and we let you know, and you can discuss about it in our personal Discord on the Linktree. Everything that we've described here will be on our Linktree, as well as our links to our Spotify and Apple Podcasts, where you can give us a review and rating. Tell us how we're doing.
Yeah, ratings are good.
Yeah. So is good.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for doing this birthday episode.
Woo! Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
birthday.
Thank you. All right, guys. Bye.
I'm Mitch.
I'm Murr.
I'm Justine.
And I'm John. Thank you.